The Kang Grand Mansion stood on one of the highest hills in Seoul, surrounded by private gardens, marble fountains, and rows of black luxury cars. Crystal chandeliers illuminated the grand halls while silent bodyguards guarded every entrance. It looked like a palace that belonged to a king, but inside, it felt empty. Kang Hyun-jun, the feared Korean Mafia boss, sat alone in his private study. The expensive whiskey on his desk remained untouched as he stared at the wedding photograph in his hands. Only 3 days had passed since he told his wife to leave. 3 days. Yet the silence inside the mansion felt like 3 years. He slowly placed the photo down. "Why can't I forget her?" No one answered. Even the servants outside the room didn't dare interrupt him. A knock came at the door. His assistant, Choi Min-suk, entered respectfully. "Sir, what is it?" "The Han family is waiting for your decision. I'll deal with them later. They've called 6 times already." I said later. His assistant nodded and quietly stepped back. Before leaving, he hesitated. "Sir, may I ask something?" Hyun-jun looked at him. "What? Do you regret it?" The room became silent. After several seconds, Hyun-jun answered, "I don't know." But deep inside, he already knew. At the same time, hundreds of kilometers away, Ariana sat quietly in a small apartment, holding her baby daughter against her chest. The little girl smiled and reached for her mother's necklace. Ariana kissed her forehead. "My princess, no matter what happens, I'll protect you." The baby giggled. For a moment, Ariana forgot all the pain she had suffered. Then her phone vibrated, an unknown number. She stared at it. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned it off and hugged her daughter even tighter. Back at the mansion, Hyun-jun walked into the dining hall. The table was prepared for 8 people. But he sat alone. His eyes stopped on the chair where Ariana used to sit. He suddenly remembered her asking only a week earlier, "Will you come home early tonight?" His answer had been simple. "I'm busy." She smiled anyway. "I'll wait." Now, no one was waiting. He pushed his chair back and stood. For the first time in years, the powerful Korean Mafia boss had no appetite. Just then, his mother entered the dining hall. She looked at her son and sighed. "So this is what you wanted?" He remained silent. "You traded your wife for another woman." Still silence. She walked closer. "And now you can't even finish your dinner." Hyun-jun finally looked up. "Mother." She interrupted him. "Do you even know where she is?" He froze. "You don't?" She shook her head. "I warned you." Then she turned and walked away. Before leaving, she said one sentence that echoed through the empty hall. "One day, you'll search the whole world for the woman you told to leave." Before we continue, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because the next chapter will reveal a secret that changes everything. Now let's continue the story. Late that night, Hyun-jun couldn't sleep. He walked back into his study and opened the drawer where Ariana used to keep her belongings. Everything was gone, except one small envelope. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was a tiny baby bracelet. Attached to it was a handwritten note. He slowly read the words. His face turned pale. He whispered, "What does this mean?" The note contained only one sentence. "One day, our daughter will ask why her father chose someone else." The note remained in Kang Hyun-jun's hand. "One day, our daughter will ask why her father chose someone else." He read it again, then again. His breathing became heavy. "A daughter?" He looked around the empty study, as if Ariana would suddenly appear and explain everything. But the room was silent. For the first time in years, the feared Korean Mafia boss felt powerless. He pressed the intercom. Min-suk, his assistant, entered immediately. "Yes, sir. When did Ariana leave the mansion?" 3 days ago. "Did anyone follow her?" "No, sir." "Did anyone tell me where she went?" "No." Hyun-jun clenched his fists. "Find her." "Sir, I don't care how much it costs. I want every investigator and every contact working on this." Min-sik hesitated. "Should I also inform the Han family that your engagement meeting is postponed?" Hyun-jun looked at him coldly. "Cancel it." At the same time, Ariana sat beside the window of a small apartment, watching the rain fall over Seoul. Her daughter slept peacefully in her arms. The room was simple. No luxury furniture, no servants, no guards, yet it felt warmer than the mansion she had left. She gently stroked her daughter's hair. "You'll never have to fight for someone's love." The baby smiled in her sleep. Ariana smiled too. But tears quietly rolled down her face. Her best friend, Maya, entered carrying groceries. "You skipped dinner again." "I'm not hungry. You have to eat." "I'm fine." Maya sat beside her. "No, you're pretending." After a long silence, Maya asked, "Does he know?" Ariana shook her head. "No." "Will you ever tell him?" "I don't know. And if he finds out?" Ariana looked at her daughter. "He chose another woman. I won't force my child into a life where she's treated like a mistake." Back at the Kang mansion, investigators were already making calls. Photos, addresses, security footage, nothing. It was as if Ariana had disappeared. One investigator finally reported, "Sir, we found her old apartment." Hyun-jun stood immediately. "And? It's empty. When did she leave?" The neighbors said she left quietly. "Did anyone help her?" "They don't know." Hyun-jun stared out the window. For the first time, finding one woman seemed harder than building an empire. His mother entered his office without knocking. "I heard you've started looking for her." He didn't deny it. She walked closer. "What are you planning to do if you find her?" "I'll bring her home." His mother looked disappointed. "Home? You think it's that simple?" He remained silent. "You broke her heart. You humiliated her. And now you think she'll return because you finally regret it." Her words hit harder than any enemy's attack. That evening, while Ariana rocked her daughter to sleep, someone slipped an envelope under her apartment door. She picked it up carefully. There was no name, no address. Only one sentence typed on a plain white paper. "He knows about the child." Ariana's hands began to tremble. Across the city, Hyun-jun's phone rang. His chief investigator spoke urgently. "Sir, we've found something." Hyun-jun's voice hardened. "What is it?" The investigator took a deep breath. "It's not just your wife we're looking for. There's evidence she has been protecting your daughter since the day she left." Hyun-jun slowly closed his eyes. His greatest regret had suddenly become the greatest secret of his life. The rain had stopped, but the Kang Grand Mansion still felt cold. Kang Hyun-jun stood before the floor-to-ceiling window of his private office, overlooking the glittering skyline of Seoul. His phone buzzed every few minutes. Business partners, politicians, foreign investors. He ignored them all. There was only one person on his mind, Ariana. His assistant, Choi Min-sik, entered quietly. "Sir, the board meeting starts in 15 minutes. Cancel it. The directors have already arrived. Then let them wait." Min-sik nodded. He had worked for Hyun-jun for years. He had seen him angry. He had seen him ruthless. But he had never seen him distracted. Across the city, Ariana dressed her little daughter in a tiny cream-colored outfit. The little girl clapped happily. "You like this one?" The baby laughed. Ariana smiled. For a moment, life felt normal. Then her phone vibrated again. Another unknown number. This time it wasn't a message. It was a photo. Her hands froze. The picture showed the front gate of her apartment building. Someone had been watching her. She immediately locked the door and closed the curtains. Holding her daughter tightly, she whispered, "Nobody is taking you away from me." Meanwhile, Hyun-jun ordered his security team to search every property Ariana had ever rented. Hours later, they returned with nothing. One investigator hesitated before speaking. "Sir." "What?" "We found someone who remembers her." Hyun-jun stood. "Take me there." The witness was an elderly cafe owner. She looked at Hyun-jun for several seconds before recognizing him. "So you're the husband." Hyun-jun remained silent. The woman sighed. "She used to come here every morning." "Was she alone?" "At first. And later?" The old woman smiled gently. "Later she carried a baby." Hyun-jun's heartbeat quickened. "What did she say about me?" The woman looked directly into his eyes. "Nothing." "Nothing?" "She never spoke badly about you. She simply said." The woman paused. "Some people only realize the value of love after they've already lost it." Those words stayed with him long after he left. That evening, Ariana visited a small park with her daughter. Children laughed as they played nearby. For the first time in days, she relaxed. Her daughter reached toward the swings, giggling. Ariana carried her over and gently pushed the tiny swing. From a distance, a black luxury SUV slowed beside the road. The tinted window lowered slightly. A pair of eyes watched them. The driver asked, "Sir, should we stop?" The man in the back seat answered quietly, "No." The SUV drove away. Ariana never noticed, but the man inside had recognized her instantly. He picked up his phone and made one call. "I found her. What should we do next?" The voice on the other end replied, "Don't let the Korean Mafia boss reach her first." And somewhere else in Seoul, Hyunjun received a message with only one line. "If you want to see your wife again, you're already too late." The message stayed on Kang Hyunjun's phone. "If you want to see your wife again, you're already too late." He read it twice, then calmly placed the phone on his desk. His assistant looked worried. "Sir, should we trace the number?" Hyunjun nodded. "Do it. And if they disappear, they won't. How can you be so sure?" Hyunjun looked out the window. "Because whoever sent this message wants me to follow them." Across the city, Ariana closed the curtains inside her apartment. She checked every lock twice. Her daughter sat on a soft blanket, playing with a stuffed rabbit. Seeing her laugh made Ariana smile. But deep inside, she knew something was wrong. Her best friend Maya arrived carrying dinner. "You haven't slept." "I'm fine." "No, you're scared." Ariana sat down. "I feel like someone is watching us." Maya immediately looked outside. The street seemed normal. Children played. Cars passed. Nothing unusual. Still, she locked the door again. Meanwhile, the Han family grew impatient. Chairman Han slammed his hand on the table. "Where is Kang Hyunjun?" An executive answered carefully. "He canceled another meeting." "For what reason?" "No one knows." The chairman frowned. For a man who controls half of Seoul, he's suddenly acting like a fool. Back at the mansion, Min Sok hurried into Hyunjun's office. "Sir." "What is it?" "We traced the message. And it came from a prepaid phone." Hyunjun remained calm. But what?" "It was activated less than 1 kilometer from Ariana's apartment." For the first time that day, Hyunjun stood up immediately. "Prepare the car." At the same time, Ariana was preparing a bottle for her daughter. The little girl reached up and laughed. "My sweet girl, you only have me." Just then, a knock came at the door. She froze. Another knock. This time louder. Maya whispered, "Don't open it." The knocking stopped. Silence filled the apartment. Slowly, Ariana walked toward the door and looked through the peephole. No one. Only a small white envelope lying on the floor. She picked it up carefully. Inside was a single photograph. It showed Hyunjun standing outside his mansion earlier that morning. On the back, someone had written, "He knows you're alive." Ariana's heart pounded. At that very moment, Hyunjun's convoy of black luxury SUVs stopped outside her neighborhood. He stepped out, followed by 2 bodyguards. He looked up at the apartment building. After months of regret, he believed he was finally about to see his wife. What he didn't know was that someone else had already entered the building moments before him. Kang Hyunjun stood silently in front of the apartment building. The black SUVs behind him remained parked, with their engines running while 2 bodyguards scanned the area. His assistant stepped closer. "Sir, should we go inside first and secure the building?" Hyunjun shook his head. "No. What if she leaves again?" He looked toward the 3rd-floor window. "She has been running from me long enough." For the first time in his life, the Korean Mafia boss was afraid. Not of enemies, not of betrayal, but of hearing one simple sentence, "You're too late." Inside the apartment, Ariana still held the photograph in her hands. Someone had been watching her. Someone knew where she lived. Her daughter reached toward the paper and laughed, completely unaware of the fear surrounding her. Maya took the photograph. "This isn't normal. I know. We should leave." "And go where?" Neither of them had an answer. The little girl suddenly pointed toward the window. "Ma." Ariana smiled softly. She was still learning to speak. "My beautiful girl." The baby giggled again. For a brief moment, Ariana forgot everything else. Then another knock came. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. The room fell silent. Maya whispered, "Don't answer." Ariana nodded, but the knocking stopped. Instead, a calm voice spoke from outside. "I'm only here to deliver something." Neither woman moved. The footsteps slowly disappeared. After waiting several minutes, Maya carefully opened the door. The hallway was empty. Only a small gift box sat on the floor. She quickly carried it inside. "Don't touch it," Ariana said. Maya examined it. No sender, no address. Only one sentence was written on the ribbon. "For the little princess." Meanwhile, downstairs, Hyunjun entered the building. His assistant hurried after him. "Sir, we should call first." "No. You may frighten her. I frightened her the day I asked her to leave." The assistant lowered his head. He had never heard his boss speak with regret before. Back inside the apartment, Ariana slowly opened the box. Inside was a tiny pair of pink baby shoes. Beneath them lay another note. Her hands began to shake. She unfolded it. The handwriting was familiar. It simply read, "Every child deserves to know the truth." Ariana immediately looked toward Maya. No one else could know. Maya's face turned pale. "Then who sent this?" At that exact moment, the elevator doors opened. Hyunjun stepped onto the 3rd floor. The hallway was quiet. Apartment 305. He stopped. His heartbeat grew faster. He looked at the name beside the door. It wasn't Ariana's. She had changed everything. Her address, her phone number, even her identity. Yet somehow, he knew she was behind that door. Hyunjun slowly raised his hand, then lowered it again. For years, people feared his knock. Tonight, he feared theirs, he whispered. "What if she refuses to see me?" His assistant answered honestly. "Then you'll have to accept it." Hyunjun smiled sadly. "I've never accepted defeat. This isn't business, sir." "No, it's much harder." Inside, Ariana heard footsteps stop outside her apartment. She looked toward the door. Maya looked too. Neither spoke. Even the baby stopped laughing. Silence filled the room. Then, a shadow appeared beneath the door. Someone was standing there. Ariana's breathing became uneven. Could it be the person who had been sending the messages, or could it be Hyunjun? She closed her eyes. The silence lasted only a few seconds. Then the doorbell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Hyunjun stood outside with a small velvet box in his hand. Inside wasn't a diamond. It was Ariana's wedding ring. The same ring she had left behind when she walked out of the mansion. He whispered to himself, "If you're willing to hate me forever, I'll still spend the rest of my life asking for your forgiveness." Inside the apartment, Ariana reached for the doorknob. Her hand trembled. She slowly turned it. The lock clicked, and the door began to open. And that's where this chapter ends. But the story is far from over. What do you think will happen next? Will they find their way back to each other? Will the truth finally come out? Or will one decision change their lives forever? Share your prediction in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for part 2, because the next chapter will reveal everything.